Hey everybody, welcome to Power Hour with me and the one and only GTT, Giles Tiger Thomas. Last week we gave you the first half of the biggest stories of the year 2025 in bodybuilding. Now we're going to wrap it up and get into all the other big stories. I saved the best for last. Giles, where to begin? I think I'm going to begin with our boy Derek Lunsford. He did something, he did several things that have never been done. Well, no one's ever won a triple crown because we didn't have a triple crown before. It's a horse racing term. It refers to like the three biggest races in the horse racing industry. That's where they got it from.
I wonder where that came from, actually.
Yeah, I don't know the three races. It's Kentucky Derby, and then that's the only one I know. So he won the Arnold Classic, the Pittsburgh Pro, and the Mr. Olympia in the same year. $1.2 million in prize money alone. That's before whatever Evogen pays him, whatever his YouTube channel makes, his other sponsors. So
Jocko
Fuel, that's right. They must be paying him pretty well too. So this was a great year for Derek. He gets a lot of hate online, and I don't quite get it, but people got to give him respect. He also did something that only Jay Cutler had done before, which was to lose the Mr. Olympia title and regain it, win it back. Only Jay did that in 66. Well, this was the 60th Olympia, Mr. Olympia, and now Derek is the second man in 60 years to have done that. So this kid, you got to give him his props, I think.
I've been getting a lot of flack in the last week because it seems to be, I've never been one to follow trends or to follow the group or the mob when it comes to sort of going after certain people for certain reasons. And because I was reading and every day in, day out, I'm looking at all these comments and I'm looking at all these, and I think it was, what day is it now? What day was it? Wednesday. I think it was Monday, and I think it was Monday, and I was like, okay, I've had enough. I can't keep it in anymore. So I just basically had my say. And I just said, look, guys, the problem is, right, we're in an era where we don't have any dominant champions. We've got Samson winning one, you've got Hadi winning one, and now we've got new guys like Martin and Andrew coming up who look like they could potentially win one. So we've got sort of 5-6 guys that, depending on who brings it and who's on, who's off, there's no, it's difficult to try and pick a winner because there is no peak Ronnie, there is no peak Dorian, no peak Phil Heath, unless they're coming off, it's pretty much unlikely to go to them. So, yes, Derek has his strengths and weaknesses to his physique, but then so do the other guys. But I was just kind of getting a bit like, look, guys, and in the end of the day, if you are going to direct it at someone, you're directing it at the wrong guy because Derek just does his job as best he can. He shows up as best he can, and then it's in the hands of the judges. So the judges decide who wins and who doesn't. Right. So, but it's getting to the point now where it's getting to me, and I'm thinking, well, what's it like for Derek? I mean, because I was thinking, I actually put a comment. I said, do you know what? I said, it's at the point now where guys like Derek Lunsford, who really should be riding high and, feeling the love. And, because the thing is, he didn't just win the Olympia. He didn't just sit it out and get his, because he won his title back, but he also, on the back of that, did, because really it was almost like 2.5 preps. It wasn't 2 preps because Pittsburgh was so long after the Arnold. It's almost like, because I said, I think this is going to cost him the Olympia, that extended prep. I thought it was crazy to go and do Pittsburgh. Yep. Obviously it worked out, but it was a huge gamble. So I was like, I think this is going to. I felt like what he was doing with the prep and everything. I just felt really bad for him because I just thought, he's not just won his title back, but he's won the Arnold, he's won Pittsburgh. It's like he's really, and so anyway, my point is, sorry, I've lost my train of thought there. It's at the point now where I'm thinking, guys like that, is it worth them just paying someone to basically manage their social media and they just stay off it completely? Because if I woke up every morning, and I'm at the top of my game and I've got all this, I've got a decent amount of money and my bank account's doing well and things are looking good. You've got a second baby on the way, and you're just reading these comments. Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, right? It was all the comments that lost Samson the Olympia, because all that, he'd won the Olympia, and yet people are just constantly berating him for his conditioning. Yet the conditioning he had was good enough to win the Olympia. So he allowed that to get to him to affect how he prepped. So basically, that effectively, those comments that Derek is now seeing, Samson was seeing every single day, and effectively that lost him the Olympia because I think it got to him. I think there's no arguing that. But with Derek, I don't know. It's I feel bad for him. But the thing is, I mean, what's the tax situation in America? What would he be left with after 1.2 million in prize money?
Probably about $600,000.
Wow. Yeah. So, and I mean, I've heard what he's getting from Jocko, and it's a decent amount of money. Do you know what I mean? Jocko Willink. So it's So I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him. I think it's great. But the relentless hate, I think, is getting too much, and I feel like he put so much work and effort into getting those 3 shows, and he could have just sat on his ass and just come back and just tried to get the Olympia title back. But he didn't, and he didn't just win the Arnold. He beat 90% Samson, who's the defending reigning Mr. Olympia. Yeah. And I just think it's got out of hand now, mate. And the thing is, people it's like a mob mentality. It's like a pack mentality. One starts up and then everyone. And if you dare to argue against it, that's it. Then they come after you. And I've had them coming after me for days. So I mean, it doesn't bother me. It's water for ducks back to me. But yeah, it's getting a bit much. And I just and I also I mean, bodybuilding fans, as you know, I mean, I use the word fans quite loosely as well, because if they were true fans, would they really feel the need to put comments like that? Because people get so angry about it, like the fact that the guy just showed up with the best physique he could bring and won a show, and yet they get personal, they get they get aggressive, they get really they say some really, really nasty things. And I just think I mean, to be honest, when have you ever seen this amount of hate towards any Olympic champion? The only one I can think of was 2008 Jay Cutler.
I'd say toward the end, Phil was getting some hate. I think.
Oh yeah.
But not to this level. It wasn't. It seems like this is more personal, that the hatred directed toward Derek, and saying he's like the worst Mr. Olympia, and crappy arms. It's just relentless. I've never even Jay at the end. I don't remember him being picked apart to the degree that Derek has been. Derek's been raked over the hot coals by the. I like how you say so-called fans, because if you're a real fan of the sport, you wouldn't go after people on such a deeply personal level this way.
I think it's sad, mate. I think it's really sad. And like I said, if you are feeling that strongly about it, I mean, I don't know what difference it makes to you in your own life, but who wins the Olympia. But then again, there's a double-edged sword when you have dominant champions, because like we've said many times, once you get past that 3rd win, Dorian, Ronnie, they all start to get the hate from the fans. I think people just get bored and they just want to see a shake-up. And I remember when Sean Roden won the Olympia, and I mean, you remember, I got a video of it. You remember the response from that crowd, and it wasn't that they hated Phil. I mean, maybe like 10% was, because he used to rub fans up, because he used to go back at them, because he was one of the first Mr. Olympias in the social media era where he could actually respond. Because if he said something in a magazine that comes out months later, he's not going to hear the response, because unless he goes on a forum and tries to connect with those fans or speaks to them at an expo or something, he's never going to hear how they feel. Right. But I mean, like I said, when Sean Roden won, I mean, my God, I was shocked at how, and I think it was just the surprise of seeing a new champion. I mean, it must be hard for people like Phil and these other guys like Cutler and Lunsford to see this, because how fickle the fans are. I mean, look at how the Nick Walker fans have gone back and forth. They hate him, they love him, they hate him. Nick talking, now he's great, now he's this, now he was. Now let's blame it on the coach because he wasn't brought in right, and the back and forth. But I think we're in an era now where the social media chatter is getting a bit too much, and like what happened in Prague, it's like, and then all that shit kind of gets triggered. They see someone physical and then they try to channel it all into. That's why I got so upset, because I was like, hang on a minute, are you grouping me in with these group of people that are the ones being personal and being really vindictive and nasty, and not just talking about someone's body, because that's all I do, But are we in an era where, that the athletes now are deciding how like Samson, if he'd have just played the same game that he did the year before at the Olympia, he would have won his second Olympia.
Right.
So, but now it feels like the fans are actually having too much say, and they're actually getting to these athletes. So, but I never see Derek. If you noticed, you never see Derek really respond. He never seems to.
You said that, some people do have people run their social media, like Ronnie. Ronnie has someone handle all his social media, doesn't he? Yeah. I mean, who's to say? Derek might do the same thing already. He might have someone, and that would saves him a lot of work. Here, I need you to post every day for Jocko. I need you to post every day for this. That's somebody's job. Is they do the social media. Maybe they work with the YouTube, but I could see him doing that.
But it's a mentally tough sport as it is. So to have that on top after you've basically done everything, like going back to Samson, that guy probably worked harder than he's ever worked to get how he looked at the Olympia, which wasn't a successful look, but he probably worked harder than did more cardio and went lower on the food than he's ever gone before. And sometimes you've just got to, like Sean Roden used to say, he says, like, stay in your own lane, block out the noise, don't worry about what the person to the left and to the right is doing. You've got no control over that. Just focus on you, internalize, and just do what you need to do. But I tell you what, it must be very distracting for these athletes to constantly, I kind of imagine when Ramy was kind of working his way up. Could you imagine the amount of opinion he had, and all the different coaches were saying, "Work with me, and I'll do it this, and I'll do." Like, I bet he was being pulled in all directions. It's I think Dorian had the right approach. Just have everybody else blocked out, from the outside world. Just have your small team that you trust, those, half a dozen people that you trust and respect, and have got your back, and are going to say well-intentioned things, and going to be, want the best for you. And as far as everybody else's opinion goes, just get rid of it.
Yeah, what's the old phrase that I used to hear all the time? It's about the money. If they're not giving you money or something.
Oh yeah.
To pay them no mind, something like that. Anyway, I can't remember what it was exactly. Next one is Jordan Hutchinson and Joe Palacios. They had an excellent summer, and here's a good look at them from the Texas Pro. So Jordan Hutchinson won 2 shows in a row. He won the Tampa Pro and the Texas Pro. He was pretty good. We didn't. He wasn't a total surprise, I should say. But Joe Palacios, Joe the Machine, I had never even heard of him. I know he did it. He made his pro debut in 2024 at the Cal Pro. Didn't do well. I didn't even notice him. But when he showed up this year in Tampa, where he took third behind Jordan and Quint, and then second show, the Texas Pro, he moved ahead of Quint and got second to Jordan. And I think they were neck and neck. Either one of them could have won that show. And so two new rising stars that we got out of the U.S. pro bodybuilding scene this summer.
I know you're very American-centric in that you focus more on the American guys. I suppose that's why it works with you and me. Yeah. But I think you should throw Damien Kuffel and also the big Russian Sergey. Because for me, they're like the European or whatever, this part of the world version of what those guys achieved, in that they're not newcomers. They have competed before, but they did not even register on our radar, right? Because they weren't placed. They weren't very good. They didn't stick in our minds. But now they have, because they've come back, and all 4 of those gentlemen have really, really, just pulled miracles out of their asses. I thought Jordan Hutchinson was very, very good before, but what he did this year, was it 10 kilos or something he added? Something
I don't know that much. It was significant. It was at least 10 or 15 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you look at the guys, like if you look at, say, 2018 to 21 Samson, like those guys that kind of got everything there in balance, but just need size. The genetic shape is there, the flow is there, the symmetry's there. They've got no lagging body parts. There's no tears, nothing. Everything looks like Jordan here. Everything looks clean and separated. That once they just evenly put on another 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds, that those are the guys that are going to move up, because, there's nothing else they need to improve on other than overall size. So Jordan was one of those guys that I did rate, but I just thought, if he breaks, like Quinton, if he breaks through to the next ceiling, he's going to go through 3 ceilings, because everything is like Quint is one of those guys. Everything is there. He just needs more.
Yeah.
But because at the end of the day, if you've got a shitty genetic shape, or you've got missing body parts, or you've got a torn pec, or or you've got really bad asymmetry, there's not much you can do really, other than just try and get as big as possible and just hope you beat guys, and come in the best condition and hope you beat guys that are more genetically gifted, but not haven't worked as hard with their conditioning and their prep and their overall polish. But Jordan it wasn't a surprise to me, because once I heard that he put on that added size and I saw the lead up, I mean, even at 6 to 8 weeks out, he was looking like rock hard, like granite hard. He was lean. Yeah. So I just thought, unless he does something to mess up, he's going to do really, really well. But Joe Palacios, that was the guy that came from nowhere, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I was just like, to me, he looks, I'd love to go back in time and stick him next to a 2021 Nick Walker, because I can't say who would win out of those two. But this guy is actually, he's blown my mind this year. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. And he brings something unique. He brings something quite different. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of him. So I hope he stays healthy. I hope he stays motivated. And also keeps working on those physique imbalances, like the legs, because his upper body is slightly better than his lower body. But if he balances everything out and just keeps, chipping away and steadily improving, I think we've got a legit, like top superstar on our hands.
Yeah, he's currently in an off-season mode, so he'll be bigger. It doesn't even look real. Some of these pictures look like they've been altered, but they haven't. He really is this big.
Have you ever spoke to him?
Yeah, I interviewed him a couple of times.
Is he cool?
Oh yeah, he's a very cool guy.
But what's his not just his personality, but what's his mindset like? What's his do you think he's got one of those, he's one of those guys that seems to have a good head on his shoulders?
Oh, absolutely. He seems very grounded.
Okay.
Just got married. He's got this beautiful young, it's a son, his boy. Okay. So he's someone that I think mentally he has it from the conversations I've had with him, because we've talked about this before. There's a lot of guys who physically they have all the tools, but they just don't have what it takes inside in the attitude and the perseverance.
So we can go in any gym and see guys with genetic potential, and if they ain't got it up here, and also there's not just it's not just having that drive or that that sort of hunger. It's about having the intelligence to know when to pull back, when to push. There's a lot of aspects in the whole mental aspect of, it's like when I've asked you more about his mental side rather than I'm more interested in his mind than his body, because his mind is basically what's going to drive him forward. Looks like Art Atwood there, doesn't he?
Look at that back.
Looks Art Atwood, remember?
Oh yeah, Art Atwood.
Does, doesn't he? Yeah, he looks like a cross between Art Atwood and Nick Walker. I mean, which is but honestly, I think I'm actually quite disappointed he's not doing the Arnold Classic, because I think if he'd have done like a really good off season and just got ready for the Arnold, I think he could have been one that could have really come in and shook things up, like kind of how we expected Carlos to at the Arnold Classic, Carlos Thomas Jr. Like, right. I kind of expected if he really nails it, he's going to be the one that could slip into the top 5, maybe even to the top 3. And of course, it didn't work out the way we expected, or so I hoped it would. But yeah, here's a guy that I think next year, I think this is going to be a good year for him, where he's really going to rise. And also, and like I said, I also Damien and that Sergey, more so Damien, because I haven't seen Sergey in the flesh, but I have seen Damien Koffel in the flesh, and mate, that guy is phenomenal. And now he's qualified for the Olympia. He's going to go quiet for a bit, but I don't want people to forget about him, because I think next year he's going to be another one like Urs. The uncertainty of what he's going to bring. Is he going to bring it? Is he not? Is this going to guy who's going to storm into the top 10 at the Olympia and shake everything up? So Damien's you got to see this guy in the flesh. That real bicep on the bloody the live stream, I was going bonkers, mate. It's just like somebody that, even when I saw him backstage, because I'm having a little mooch around backstage and seeing who I recognize, who I don't, who's new, and I saw him and this other guy, and he stood out, and I was kind of like walking around, because you're trying to look at, okay, he looks good from the front. Oh, he looks good from the side. Oh, he's got good arms. Oh, he's got good back. Oh, shit, he's got good hamstring. Are his glutes and his hamstrings are conditioned? So you're kind of like subtly looking. And I was just like, this guy's ticking every single box. So, yeah. And when he won that pro show in Spain the other week, that wasn't even at his best. He was kind of just hanging on there. But I just another 5 to 10 pound and at the Olympia next year, and I think I could see him top 10.
Wow. Well, do you get the do you see the Gunter Schlierkamp resemblance?
Yeah, sort of. But the thing is, like, he was classic. I mean, the fact that there's a mass monster that only like a year or two ago was classic. And the thing is, the guys that are fresh out of classic, like that Matthias Holweck, they're still half classic in the way that they think and they pose and they present themselves. So when you get a mass monster that's kind of coming at the classic and he knows how to present his physique, he knows it, because the classic is more about symmetry, conditioning, presentation, which are all qualities that are appreciated in the open. So and then when these guys come back and they are much bigger because they've outgrown the classic, it's impressive to see. And I like to see those because at the end of the day, Sean Rode and Samson, these are Quint, these are kind of like open guys with the attributes of a very, very good classic, but just obviously a lot bigger.
Yeah. So this is the Russian Sergey Danilov.
Yeah, he's a beast, isn't he?
He is not as up on his Instagram as some of these guys are. Let me tell you, because he has not updated. There's very few pictures from that show. So I don't know who's running your social media guy, but you need to step up your game, Sergey, because you're good.
I want to see more. I want to see more of him because I feel like I'm not that familiar with his physique because he's not coming up on my feed that much. And the guy's qualified for the Olympia, so I hope he uses this year to not just put on a ton of muscle and kind of go quiet. I hope he, because at the end of the day, he's qualified for the Olympia now. So that's kind of out of the way. So he could really now focus on, putting out some YouTube content, social media. Let us get to know a bit about who he is. Because otherwise he's just going to go to the Olympia and he's going to be last call out and he's going to be on stage 2 minutes and he's not going to maximize the opportunities there is, to be like an Olympia competitor. So, and he's one of the lucky ones. He got the early qualification. So, I mean, look at him there. He's big. He's dry. He's a freak. I like him.
I think he's only 28 or 29 years old too.
Yeah.
Young guy.
Vito. Who else we got in the top two, in the young guys that are doing well? How old's Palacio?
I believe he's late 20s as well. 20.
The guys like that are winning pro shows and doing the Olympia and they're in their 20s. These are the guys that are going to be filling up the top spots in the next 3 to 5 years. So we got Urs, you got Vito. Who's the other one? Vito. There's another one in their 20s. Is it Urs, Vito? There's one other in that 3 that I've mentioned several times. I can't think now. It'll come to me. But guys like this that. These guys are basically the future. So these are the ones I keep a closer eye on because these are the ones that can also make more improvements. These are the ones that haven't maxed out their physiques yet. So like I said, I follow these guys just as much as the new guys who, like Hadi, who are always going to show up in shape and always going to look incredible. But maybe they've done more with their physiques, potential-wise, they've maxed out more than say guys like this guy.
Yeah, so good thing you reminded me because I only talk about the American bodybuilders. I'm awful.
That's why you bring me in, mate. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of this.
Exactly.
That's why it works.
Let's go on to our next story of the year.
Hang on, it's 3 o'clock and it's getting dark.
Yeah, that's winter. Well, it's going to be changing soon. So not all the stories are happy stories. The Masters Olympia was held in Japan, I believe it was August. Whenever it was over the summer. And sadly, the competitors were not paid. Jake Wood said he was going to pay them out of his own money 8 weeks later. Well, here's the prize money notice. They had to post it. Masters Olympia official. Yeah, Jake Wood posted that he would personally pay out of his own pocket because and I don't understand how it happened because prize money, from what I understand, it's supposed to be set aside in some sort of escrow type account ahead of the event so that it's guaranteed so that things like this do not ever happen.
Do you know why that happened? Because remember the Toronto show, and it was that the one where they had the motorbike and the motorbike wasn't even given. They had the motorbike and $10,000 and apparently the prize money was never paid. And it was I won't even say the promoter's name because he was a good professional bodybuilder back in the day. And I don't want to tarnish his name if it wasn't him or it was I've got it wrong. So But yeah, I heard that's what happened. And of course, there's a lot of hassle trying to sort it out, chase money, you know. So they then brought in this, you know, okay, 50% of the money has to be, because I was involved with the Grand Prix originally, you know, and the deal was 50% of the prize money immediately, which is a lot of money to find, you know, especially when you're early stages of bringing in sponsors and selling tickets. And then I think the other 50% has to be, I mean, I do something similar with the tours, actually. I have, you know, I have a, because I've been stung a few times, sadly, with payments, you know, and you're someone you trust and you think, it's so-and-so, I've known him 30 years. It happened last year with Andrew Jack. One of the guys didn't pay the remaining 50%. Oof. And yeah, this happened, you know, you're talking like, you know, thousands, you know, which is, then it's coming out of my profit because you've still got to pay the guys. But with the pro shows, I believe that the whole escrow thing is a way of mitigating that ever happening, because it might not even be intentional, it might not be malicious. But, you know, the thing is, I'll tell you what the thing is, if you're a new promoter, the costs, you know, like Matthew with you know, especially like Matthew Pearson from the Expo, like I've worked with, you know, with the Olympia All-Star Tours, I collaborate with all these different Expo promoters, and if they knew, I always try and say to them, look, you know, just to give you a warning, you know, these Expo halls, if they're charging you this for the hall, they're gonna charge you for this, and stuff that would make you, actually has made me laugh. You know, for keeping that exit sign on, they'll charge you another 3,000 euros, or for this cable to go to that stage so you can have the lighting rig, that's another 5,000 euros. I mean, it sounds like I'm joking, but I'm exaggerating, but I'm actually not, because it's actually ludicrous, the costings. But in this instance, you know, that money should have been paid in escrow. So what's the situation now with it? Has it been paid?
I'm not sure. I mean, he who shall not be named was posting as recently as a week and a half or 2 weeks ago that they still haven't gotten paid.
Wow.
Even though Jake had made that post. So I don't know. I can tell you that I interviewed Sean Clarita, who won the Japan Pro, which is the same promoter, and he said he got paid, no problem. So It's good to know that at least he got paid and those athletes got paid. But yeah, the Master Olympia. I mean, come on, guys.
You talk about the other guy that's bringing that up. Well, it's kind of good that he is. If they genuinely haven't been paid, and he's actually done the research to find out if they've been paid or not, it's good that actually someone is actually speaking up, because otherwise the athletes are probably too afraid to speak up, because they might, you know, they think they might get their placings or they might get blackballed or whatever. I don't know what goes on in a competitor's mind, but you know, this is why Lee Priest used to struggle, because he's like, come on guys, we need to come together and speak up about things like prize money and stuff like that. You know, different examples of these kinds of things when it comes to finances. You know, we need to come together, because otherwise I'm putting my neck on the firing line here. You know, on the line here, because you know, it's you don't want to be the one that they then come after, or even if you think that and you get paranoid, it's like you don't want to be the one to put your neck above the parapet and you know, kind of be in, like I said, be in the firing line.
Oh, I mean, you know, I don't know if there would be any backlash but I'm sure they are afraid. They are afraid.
Yeah, you would be though. You would be. And the thing is, in a subjective sport as well, where you know, you think, well, they could screw me over my placing, and there's no way that I can retaliate, because it's that's what the judges think. It's a subjective sport, and you know, so I do get it, but it's a shame that you know, that someone you know, the guy you've mentioned before, it's a shame that someone like that has to speak up on behalf of the athletes, and also put himself in the firing line as well, because you know, he probably, I mean, he doesn't care about being targeted as like a troublemaker because of the stuff he's put out, but which is, you know, but in this instance, it's good that actually somebody is looking into it. But the thing is, if Jake has said he's going to sort it, then Jake's the sort of person that I think would sort it, because he's, it's his name, it's his Olympia name. He's the co-promoter, because before the one in Romania, that was purely Jake, wasn't it? He wasn't. He was obviously, it was it Streza and Alina who he teams up with the Romania Muscle Fest. I think it was that same team, because it was in Cluj in Romania, the same town. But I believe this one, he's teamed up with this co-promoter, and I imagine it's just split down the middle. That's my assumption anyway. But the thing is, Jake's name's attached to this, and I'm sure he doesn't want. And the thing is, we're not talking a massive amount of money here, because the prize money wasn't huge for the Masters Olympia. But then again, there was a lot of divisions, so I suppose it does add up. But surely you would have had this in place before the bloody show. And I mean, like I said, I'm sure this is why these rules are brought in to mitigate against these kinds of things from even happening in the first place.
Yeah, that whole time I was talking, I thought I was showing all these pictures and I wasn't. So that's why I've been showing them now.
Yeah. Have you spoke to Phil?
No, I have not. No.
Playhouse. Okay. Well, yeah, I might ask him actually. I might ask him. Put it on, and maybe after this, before this goes out and you post it, I might ask him and say, look, have you been paid? Because you were the number 2 in the Open. It's he's going to give me a straight answer, and then I can put it in the comments when you do the live later.
Yeah, I would be curious to know if he did that. So
me too. Let's
move on to more happier. I try to do a happy story, sad story, happy story. So kind of keep the balance going. So we saw some guys, a couple guys really banging out the shows and grinding it out this year. First of all, let's talk about Heirati, the UK. This guy did 7 shows this year. Good Lord. So just to give a breakdown, he started off in Detroit with a 4th place, went to the FIBO, took 2nd to Andrew Jacked. New York Pro, he got 5th place. Cal Pro, 2nd place. He won the Toronto show. He won the Empro show. And then he went to the Mr. Olympia, where he did not do so well. But it took him, it took him 5 shows to get a win. And then he won, the 6th show was another win. But this was spread out over the course of all the way from Detroit, which I think was April, all the way through October. So he had a long year, Sass.
And do you think that I'm amazed at how he managed to hold such a good peak, because it wasn't like he was off at the first 2. And I remember like Tony Freeman, he would do like 4, 5, 6 shows, and he'd start off kind of looking like he was 4 weeks out. And then as the shows went on, by the 3rd, 4th show, he'd start hitting his stride. But like Sass brought it at every single show. I didn't see one show where he was super flat or he was off. It just shows you he knows what he's doing when it comes to sort of prepping. Because some of these guys, like Nathan's told me, like, he'll specifically go for different looks if he knows he's doing several shows in a row. Like he'll try, I'm going to come in big and full for this one. I'm going to come in a bit leaner and whatever, and and sort of more streamlined and more dry for this one. And then the fact that they've got that much knowledge over the control of their own bodies, that they can bring these different looks. But Sasan was like really consistently bringing good look after good look. In fact, I think some of the shots I saw from Olympia, I know he didn't make top 15, but it's Olympia. I think this was his best look. So to bring that, when he's done, was it 7 shows?
It was 8. I screwed up. I forgot about the British Grand Prix. So it was 8 shows.
So this was the Olympia was his final one, right?
Yeah.
So that was his final 8th show. And if anything, he looks his best. So that shows, to be honest, I'd be interested to know like more thoughts behind the actual being able to pace himself, because many guys, I did 4 shows in 5 weeks once, and like by the 3rd one I was really starting to struggle, visually, physically, mentally. I was getting sick. My hearing was going. I was losing my voice. My body was just basically like really fighting against me and saying, please just back off. But these guys, they're spreading it out over months. So I wonder, I'd love to know how he managed to sort of pace himself, because to do this is, then you get guys, that are doing 1 show a year. I know Derek Lunsford's kind of stepped his game up now, and he did the Arnold and Pittsburgh and other ones. But some guys, it's a struggle for them to do more than like 2 shows. And to do this and also get 2 wins and an Olympia appearance, and also, like I said, bring a good look to every single one. I think that is that's a really noteworthy achievement, and he should be proud. But also, it gives him a lot of experience as well, because he's going to be going into next year having learned a lot about his body. So I'm really I'm excited to see what he'll bring next year, because I still don't think he's brought back the upper body thickness he had in 2018 yet. The legs are, but I still think there's a bit more left in the tank. So a good off season now, riding high, 2 wins. His career is kind of taken off. His coaching and stuff has probably took a real upturn. So he's going to be confidence-wise, and everything he put into it was kind of this year kind of paid off for him. So it'll be interesting to see if he can come back with that upper body really popping, because I still don't think I still think Sasan's capable of more. I still think he can be better than this, and I think a good off season as well as the success of this year, I think we'll see it next year.
Now he was away from competition for a few years too, right?
2018, he did his last one, and then he didn't. He started competing in 2024 because he was this first one back was the Impro last year when he got 5th. Oh, wow. I was there during the commentary, so it was 6 years he had off.
Oh wow, that's not easy to come back after all that time.
But he told me he never stopped training. It was like Lewis Breed. He said, Giles, he said, I never stopped training, and he says, and he told me, I mean, Lewis Breed told me about like gear wise. He said I was just doing like 500 mig test and a little bit of, it was a tiny amount, but he said with the years of heavy training, hard training, consistent training and eating, he managed to improve. So when he came back, it looked like he'd improved several years rather than just kind of taking time off. So when these guys are taking these years off, they're bodybuilders. They love to train. So, so Sasan, he never stopped training. He just basically stopped competing.
Got it. All right. Great job, Sass. The other guy I want to talk about?
Legs are amazing.
Yeah, he's got phenomenal. I love those. I like to see the sweep and the cross striations, all that good stuff. So,
but he can be full on off season, and his quads are all still like straighted to hell.
It's a good way to be.
Yeah.
So Quint Beastwood, Quinton Area, he did 5 shows this year, and the worst he did was 3rd. He took 2nd.
Wow.
Tampa, he was 2nd. Texas 3rd. So that was Tampa was won by Jordan. Texas was Jordan and Joe beat him. Italy and Germany, 2 weekends in a row, he took 2nd place to Urskal Chinsky. And then he wrapped it up with Tsunami Pro in France, where Sergey Danilov pops up out of nowhere.
Oh, God, yeah.
In a different lifetime, when there was the point system, he easily would have got to the Olympia on points, but this was not that era, so he had to finish off the season without an Olympia. But he did this all without a coach, too. Coached himself for all these shows. So I think he deserves a lot of credit. Aside from, he did have that experience of going over to the UK and staying with Samson, training with Samson for a few weeks as well. So I think we're seeing him moving forward the way we were hoping he would, because like I said, you've said this before, we see him sort of in the position where Samson was a few years ago.
I just hope him not making it to the Olympia this year has not discouraged him, but I hope it's fired him up, because he was so close more than once. So it's not like there's a guy, I know that the qualification is like, okay, you win or you're not in, but this is a guy that, kind of deserves to be on the Olympia stage. And, if I know it's a lot of ifs, but if that point system had been in place, 100%, we'd have seen him on stage at the Olympia. And who knows, maybe he would have squeezed in the top 15. But I hope that it's just this year, because he didn't just get 1 second, he got multiple seconds and thirds. Like you said, 5 top 3s. That's basically like the last show where Sergey turned up. That's basically just unlucky that some guy, basically popped up out of nowhere and nailed it and looked good, because it was debatable. He could have gone either way in a couple of the shows that he did. And he was just basically, like LeVron and Sean Ray and stuff, and all those legends and flexibility. They were just unlucky that they had to go up against Ronnie and guys like Ronnie and Dorian. Otherwise, we'd have had multiple Mr. Olympias. But with Quint, he's one of those guys that he's just nearly there, isn't he? And I really, really hope that he's working hard right now and he's fired up and he's excited for next year, because he was so close to making it to the Olympia. And genetically, he's one of the best guys we've got. You look at his shape, his structure. For a black guy to have calves like that too is, that basically means, God likes him. So, it's true though, isn't it? Because he is really, he's just, everything, the flow. There's another guy that brings Classic to the Open. And like you said, he's kind of reminds me of where, not even 2021, but 2022, where Samson was just starting to, you look at it and you think, oh, if he just put on another, if you sort of close, squint your eyes and imagine him with another 10, 15, 20 pounds, you just think, my God, I mean, how could that not be in a first call out at the Olympia? So he's someone that he's knocking on the door. And I just hope, I really, really hope we see him next year, come back and, we walk out and everyone's just so excited and so happy because he's made those improvements. Because, I mean, he's got a God-given structure there, beautiful shape. He's tall. And also he's a cool guy as well. And we're always rooting for the good guys. So, I mean, look at that. Look at look at his waist and his radial bicep. He is sensational. So I really, really hope he's working hard right now. And he's got that self-belief that he does, deserve to win pro shows. And he is worthy of being like a top Olympia guy, because someone like Quint really, at this point now, he deserves to be in the top 10 of the Olympia. So it's just up to him with how much he wants to improve and how much work he wants to put in. But if he comes back improved next year, watch out.
I interviewed him last month, and I can tell you he does seem to be in a great space, mentally, psychologically, not discouraged at all by taking second place 4 times this year.
Yeah, because some people, it messes them up. Some people are like, it's just they start getting paranoid. They think that the system or whatever is against them. They think there's things, there's forces conspiring against them, and it's just not. It's just you just happen to go up against guys that were just that 1% better on the day. So I mean, look at him there. I mean, even if you saw him posing next to Samson there, you wouldn't think that there was a huge difference in levels, because look how good he looks there. I mean, he looks like he could be Samson's little brother.
I think it's almost kind of like he is Samson's little brother.
Yeah. Maybe they find out, they do some DNA test and they find out there's some link there from back in, because they're both Nigerian, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, you never know. You just, there's obviously Nigeria's got some good genetics, because you've got Andrew Jack as well.
That's right.
But and the thing is, I'm not even frightened to say that I am biased, because I like the tall guys. I'm tall myself. I'm 6 foot tall. So, and we've had a really good run of these shorter guys getting a great look in, like Hadi, Bonak, Derek, guys like Nick Walker, even, like 5'6" and under. But there's still a part of me that really, really wants to see like a 6 foot plus, like seeing Samson win the. I mean, look at the thing is, imagine if Quint brought that to the stage. I mean, because a side chest, he always seems to flatten out in his side chest. Go back and show that side chest. Like, he doesn't bring that to the stage. I know the lighting's really good and it's nicely, but he never brings that kind of fullness and pop to the stage. I mean, he always looks like flat. I don't know whether it's obviously the taller guys, they flatten out super quick, and it's peaking a guy that size with that kind of structure and that kind of and those kind of crazy muscle bellies. It is hard. As Samson has proven, like look at the difference he made from Prague to the Olympia. I mean, the Olympia was a disaster, but I mean, he looked sensational just 2 weeks later. So it shows you the timing for these tall guys is. I wouldn't, to be honest, even if I was a coach, I would not want to coach these tall guys, because it must be bloody hard. It must be frustrating as well. So I mean, like Quint there, that to me looks like a Mr. Olympia.
Oh, that frontal bicep is amazing. That's his best.
If you told somebody on the street that that's the #1 bodybuilder in the world, they'd be like, yeah, I can see why.
Of course, yeah. Oh, he's phenomenal. So yeah, we're hoping for great things for Quint in 2026.
Fingers crossed.
Very cool, down to earth guy, and he doesn't let the negative comments get to him, because every bodybuilder now, unless you block every troll immediately, you're gonna be reading some things that aren't nice about you.
Well, he messaged me because he wasn't happy because I mentioned about the pin in the shoulders, and he said, "Bro," he said, "I don't pin my shoulders," and he seemed quite upset actually. And I said to him, "Look, mate, I'm just I can't remember what I said actually now." Yeah. He was like, can you? And obviously that he felt the need to reach out to me to sort of express that he wasn't happy about that. And obviously I put my standpoint as well, saying, like, if I see it, then the judges are going to see it. I'm doing it to make you better, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But so you can imagine the constant comments. But yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to see Quint, Andrew, and Samson at the top 3 at the Olympia? 3 6 foot plus, I mean, I know it's never going to happen, but it would be kind of cool.
short guys would be very upset about that. I'll tell you.
Yeah, bugger off to the 212, shorties. You got your own category. Come on.
All right, so that was a happy story. So now we go to one that's not so happy. I told you I was going to keep going back and forth like that, try to keep it balanced. So we saw the Olympia title change hands in the women's physique division. Sarah Villegas has won it 4 times. Natalia Coelho had won it once in the past, I think 2021, and she's been losing to Sarah for the past few years. And this year, she turned the tables and beat Sarah, and Sarah immediately posted the next day, I think it was, on her Instagram, accusing Natalia of, she didn't say where, but she called her Miss Oil Olympia. It was just I thought it was a bad look for a champion. Be gracious in losing, and to call someone out and accuse them of cheating like that, it sort of tarnished the women's Physique Olympia outcome for this year, because it's like now you can't even be happy. Natalia can't even enjoy her victory without this backlash. So I don't know. It was just unfortunate. I wish it didn't happen, but I'm sure Sarah, in her heart of hearts, believes Natalia was up to and then it's come out. Supposedly there's this PMMA controversy going on in Brazil now, where they say not only Natalia, but Derek Lunsford went down there to get this stuff injected. And, I haven't commented because it's all hearsay. Until all the facts are out, I'm not going to make any comments or opinion on it, because I don't know what's been going on that. But this was just a sad state of affairs all around, I think.
Well, you know me, I'm like a beagle, a bloody sniffer dog when it comes to, pointing out the old suspicious lumps and bumps. And I was shocked when Sarah said that, because I didn't, for her to say that, she must have been quite certain. And even if I didn't see anything on Natalia's physique, and I haven't really studied that closely, because nothing popped out to me as looking suspicious. And even if it did, I feel like Natalia's physique has gone to such another level this year. Like literally, it was it was like a lot of these Clarida and Keon and Samson Andrew, like the Hadi and Derek. There was a lot of it was like a back and forth thing. You could see it changing, flip flopping between the two of them for several years. But when I saw even the first initial videos of Natalia, I was like, holy shit! I was like, because I always felt like her arms lacked a bit, and there was there's a couple of but I think the way she flows now, I think she's really jumped ahead. I mean, look at that. To me, that is the criteria for women's physique. I feel like she's always been very, very good. For the last 7-8 years, she's been amazing. But I feel like whatever she's done to her physique, I don't know whether she's heavier, lighter, but everything, the tie-ins. I mean, look at that. I mean, if you really zoom in and look at every single pose, she doesn't have a weak shot anymore.
I'm not zooming in on her ass, guys, just so you know. I'm really going in on the legs, because that's where she's been accused of. This was a day ago, so I'm not being a creep. I'm really trying to check out the quads and see if I see anything weird.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, you know me, I hate the site injecting thing, but I don't see anything that looks obvious there. Plus, if there was anything being injected, surely it would blur the area, because she, if anything, she's took a step forward into a separation, a detail. She's everything just seems to flow now. So whatever she's done, I mean, it looks, I don't see it. I just don't see it. And you know me, the main thing is the shoulders. I mean, I hate that, because the guys put all the gear in their shoulders and not stopping their shots too far out from the show. They'll be putting probe in there 2 days before the bloody show. Some guys, some of these guys probably are doing that. But I think she's so far ahead. I just I have seen it go back and forth between Natalia and Sarah. I think Sarah was wrong to do that. But at the end of the day, look at it from Sarah's point of view. If she feels that somebody has won based upon something that is not, it's not really welcomed, the whole site injecting thing. I mean, I don't know anything about this PMMA or whatever it is, but I have heard a few things that, Derek and other ones are all doing. But I don't know. I suppose it opens up a whole debate of, is it an unfair advantage? Because I think when bodybuilders pin their shoulders, I think it makes their physique look worse, not better. So it's not like, I'm going to pin my shoulders, I'm going to get an advantage over the competition by doing so. To me, it's, if I was a judge, I would be marking you down for it. I would be, that would be a strike against you, not for you.
Yeah.
So, but Natalia, I think, is so far ahead now. I think it was wrong. But I don't know. I do see the other side, and like I said, it's this PMMA is such a new thing. I remember when bodybuilders were all putting Nolotol in their biceps and arms, but one of the reasons that they did it. I remember a friend of mine came up from Birmingham to Temple. Used to train at Temple Gym, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, I've got this new stuff, but he says I can't tell you what it is." He says, "But I'll sell it to you." so he goes in the kitchen and he says, "Give me one of your arms." So basically, you got a 5 mil amp of Nolotol. It's bought in Spanish pharmacies. I knew the kid he got it off as well, and basically he just sticks it in his outer head, his tricep. And he says, now I'm only going to do you one arm. He says, because in 30 minutes, I want you to compare the other arm. So anyway, so he shows us both. He pulls his sleeves up, and like his triceps, like literally the outer tricep looks beautiful. It didn't look like it had been injected basically and filled with something. It looked like he had more tricep development. And the thing is, it didn't blur. So it didn't blur the surface area, which is kind of the downside of site injecting things, like with Probe or Equi or whatever they do to their triceps or delts or whatever to give them more width in the front relaxed or front lat spread, or, they want a bit more peak on their biceps when they lift their arms up. But thing is, it would take the detail off, but this Nolotol, it didn't. So honestly, the comparisons between the arms was shocking. And I says, wow, it looks like you've just literally just put like an inch on one of your arms there, and it looks like proper detailed muscle. So maybe with this PMMA, it lifts the muscle out somehow, or I don't know. But it's tricky. I mean, what do you think? What's your feeling? Which are you picking a side, or are you just?
I like I like Natalia a lot. So much respect for her. I don't know, and I'm not gonna say she is or she isn't, because I don't know. So I don't want to make an uninformed opinion when I don't know. I mean, I've seen like the people compare her thighs from last year to this year.
Yeah.
But they're screenshots from video and stuff. It's not exactly all the same. I don't know, but
the thing is, it's a visual sport, and if nothing looks funky to me and nothing's blurry and looking like your eyes are drawn to something for not the right reasons, then for me, she's the clear winner, mate. She's like Andrea Shaw in my eyes in the women's physique now. I think she's pulled ahead, mate. I think she's pulled ahead. I think she's pretty much with that look. I think with the women's physique criteria, I think it pretty much makes her, in my eyes, unbeatable.
I mean, so I think the accusation is it's supposed to be it gave her a quad sweep that she didn't have. I think that's the basis of what Sarah and her supporters are claiming. But so you're telling me the only difference, the only thing she needed to beat Sarah was more quad sweep? That was the only improvement she made? I thought she was improved overall. I mean, look at the conditioning, the balance.
She's on another level now, mate.
Yeah. So, all right, enough of that. Let's move on.
Happy story.
Let's see if I have a happy story next. I hope so. Oh, no, I don't. We're going to end with a happy story, though. So, yeah, this happened with about 2 weeks before the Olympia. The Classic Physique division had a big upheaval because there were accusations that Mike Sommerfeld and others had been, I can't say they're the ones cheating because they weren't the ones doing the measuring, but having their hair poofed up and gelled to give themselves another inch of height, which would put them into another weight class. And there you can see the difference between him being on the left, that was 25 Olympia. On the right, I think was 24. So you could see his hair is a lot, his hair poofed up higher with gel in it. You can't really push it down to the cranium. So he ended up losing 14 pounds. Him and his coach, Neil Hill, had to really prepare for the worst case scenario and get him into that lower, I guess you can call it a weight class, because these guys do have to be in lighter weights for their height. And they did it. They got him down, and I think it cost him the title. This was an old video of him talking to Dennis James that came up where he was telling Dennis that they have me listed at this height, but I'm actually shorter. So that didn't look good. I don't know why he would say that with a camera on him. And that meant, so he was, I believe he was being heighted at over 5'9".
which meant he could be up to 212. And they got him down to being able to compete at 190. What was he? No, was it 204? Whatever it was. He ended up losing a lot at the last minute. And I think it cost him the title.
Yeah, this one was dodgy, mate. This one was really dodgy. None of this sat right with me. The whole, like, I remember that week when it happened and it was all kicking off. And then the way that there was something not right. There was something fishy going on here, mate. I'll be honest. I like Mike. I like all these guys. But there was something that didn't add up here. I don't know. God, it opens up so many conversations for past wins. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to have, you've got women's, we've just been talking there about women's physique. Now, women's physique is arguably the classic version for the women compared to female bodybuilding. Like, classic is how it compares to open. That's the reason it was brought in. So, God, he looks so different there with the different weight cap. I mean, he looks like a bloody 212 there. Looks incredible. He looks huge there. I mean, look at his legs. I mean, he lost all those legs for the Olympia. And the women's physique doesn't have a weight cap, and they don't have any of these issues. So, but when you do have a weight cap and you have these rules, then they kind of have to be enforced. Otherwise, it just makes a mockery of the entire thing. So for me, I didn't like any of this. The way that all the, we were all paying attention to the height and when they were measured and stuff, and then they were coming back and all the everyone was unhappy and people were going crazy. And I was messaging Neil Hill and he was sending me these 7-minute bloody voice notes. And I mean, Neil was upset and, and there was, I mean, God, he looks so different. He doesn't even look like the same guy there, does it?
He definitely down.
Yeah, that's not the same. That's not the same. That's not the physique that he was intending and hoping to bring, which probably would have won him the title. But if he wasn't, I don't know. I don't want to say much more, to be honest. But the whole thing did not sit right with me, and I do think there was some shenanigans going on there, and I felt like this all got brushed under the carpet a bit as well. And I'm not saying I'm glad that Mike Summerfield didn't win. But when there's a huge question mark over all of this and no one's really bringing it up, I feel like for me there's a bit of something smells a bit there, mate.
Yeah, and I mean they rehydrated everyone at the Olympia. It was done behind a curtain, but they did release the photos later of everyone's height and weight to let us know. I just don't know why they didn't. Why couldn't they have just done it in the open so everyone could have seen it as it was happening? That would have put my mind at ease. But I mean, like Logan Franklin came out later and said, "Well, I should be the Arnold Classic champ." Yeah,
do you know what? I'm completely with him on that, because if I'm sort of questioning things and I'm seeing things that aren't quite adding up, then this is what happens. Like I said, you're gonna have someone like Logan, or say Terrence Ruffin that is playing by the rules. And he's not trying any things with haircuts and whatever. It's something I didn't even really think about until it became that huge issue that week before the Olympia. And when it was all any of us could think and talk about. Like I was really I was quite concerned, and I'm not a classic competitor. I've got no horse in the race. And I was just thinking, imagine if you're the guy, say Terrence, that's thinking, this guy next to me is literally, in my eyes, he's cheating. He's cheating the system. He's doing things that are giving him an unfair advantage. Like Sarah Villegas is thinking that Natalia is doing things to give her an unfair advantage. And, these are your direct, close competition that are basically standing between you and a freaking Olympia title. So, I can imagine they would be pissed off. So I'll be honest, I've got to say it out loud. I kind of did punch the air when I saw that Mike got second. I did. Because I thought, okay, I feel like my gut feeling is, my gut instincts here are telling me that something's not right. Something that was known about that is not right. And I feel like this was the universe correcting the wrongdoing, if that makes sense.
Who's to blame? Who was Do we blame Mike?
Exactly.
Do we blame the people that were measuring him? See, it's
tricky, isn't it?
It's tricky. It does. And I've heard of other things like guys would put layers of glue on the bottom of their feet to give them an extra bit of height. I mean, apparently it's not isolated incident. Mike was not the only one by a
and also, Ron, hang on a minute. What about the guys that were not allowed to compete? Because let's forget about. I know they weren't the top 6 Olympia guys, but they prepped just as hard. They probably didn't have as many good sponsors, so they probably had to put more into it financially from their own pocket. But yet, I feel like they were the scapegoats that were thrown under the bus to say, "Look, we are doing something about it." But then these other guys were allowed to come back, and then then it's there was a few things that just weren't adding up, and then the thing is whoever they is, they're kind of relying on things getting swallowed up in the enormity of the Olympia. So because obviously as soon as that was done and they were all on stage, we kind of forgot about this situation. Right. We were all focusing on the Open and the 212 and the Olympia. It's bodybuilding's biggest event of the year. So I felt like it was, and no one's really talked about it since. And I think maybe if Mike had won the Olympia, I feel like we would still be talking about it, because I feel like, certainly just Brazil would be going absolutely crazy about this. They would not. There was no way they would let this go, and why should they? Right. So, but I just the whole thing's fishy to me, mate.
Yeah. Well, it brought attention to the matter. You getting up? Okay, I'll keep talking.
So I'm literally just going to turn the light on because it's dark in here.
Yeah. So one thing that was good was it brought attention to this matter. So we're not going to see any weird shenanigans again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry.
I was just saying, moving forward, no one's going to be pulling any fast ones. We're not going to be seeing guys on stage, 8, 10, 12 pounds heavier than they're supposed to be. So all eyes are going to be on all the weights and measures from now on.
Sorry. So what about just doing what they do with women's physique and just getting rid of the weight cap and just judging it on classic criteria and not a height and weight thing? Because some people argue that it's just they're judged as just like they do bodybuilding, and it's just got a height and weight cap, but they're not judging. Maybe they need to reaffirm what judging a classic physique actually is, because I actually don't judge classic like I do bodybuilding. So, but I feel like some of the judges just judge like they would a bodybuilding class, just basically a load of guys that have had the height and weight taken in front of them. So maybe they need to scrap, maybe it's caused so much trouble. And maybe the thing is, it might cause even more trouble in the future, because if this is happening, I don't feel like this problem is going to go away unless they address it. And maybe the only way to address it is to scrap the height and weight and just say, okay, then guys, just come on with the criteria and know that we're going to judge you with the classic criteria and not the bodybuilding criteria. So it's not a case of just coming in as big and lean as possible. You've got to bring, maybe they need to stipulate like the real, what we expect from a classic physique, and, to really show that there's a difference between classic and bodybuilding. But that's the only way I can see them fixing this problem. Otherwise it's, the thing is, it undermines the whole the idea of what this category was brought in for. And it's and also what about those guys that then all their preps go into waste, and then they're just worried, but the guys that didn't get to make it on stage, and Michael de Bull was practically killing himself to get that 10 pound off to get on stage, so now he's having cardiac issues as well, so maybe that might have been part of that. What if he'd have bloody had a heart attack in the sauna or something, because he pushed his body too hard trying to drop that weight? Because when I hear guys having like 4 hours to drop 10 pound, my heart literally sinks for them, because that is as dangerous as it gets. Because once you rip those electrolytes out the system, mate, that quickly, and what you have to do to drop that much water, it's very, very dangerous.
Yeah, so I've had that conversation with so many of these classic pros about eliminating the weight caps, and most of them have said they're afraid two things are going to happen. Guys are just going to get bigger and bigger, and classic's not going to be as distinct from the other divisions
Yeah.
At 212 and open. I could see that happening. Another thing is they saying we won't see the level of conditioning, the consistent level that we've been seeing in Classic, because getting to that weight cap is what forces most of these guys. Most of them have a lot of trouble getting to that weight, and by the time they get to that weight, they're peeled inside out. So you don't see, it's very rare you see a Classic pro come in off, and that's probably why.
No, what they have to do is they have to establish what the criteria is to say, look, guys, don't think that just coming back 20 pounds heavier is going to get you a win here, because what we want to see is and also maybe they put more emphasis on the presentation, the posing, and also say to them, look, if you're Classic, okay, we've done away with the height and weight, but we expect you to be shredded. If you're not shredded, then you ain't bye-bye, exactly. So, and, you know, if you come in too big, that's going to work against you. Whereas in bodybuilding, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's going to work for you.
Sure.
So, you know, don't blow the waistline. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, they've done it with women's physique. There's less of a disparity between top women's physique and top female bodybuilding, because guys can be, you know, what's the difference in body weight on average of a female bodybuilder to a women's physique? What, 10 pounds or something?
Yeah.
Whereas open and Classic, it could be 30, 40, 50 pounds. So
right.
You would have to have very, very well-trained and really, like with the judges, you'd have to really lay it onto them and say, look, this is the difference between judging Classic and this is the difference between judging bodybuilding. The two are not the same, because otherwise, I think sometimes people just, some of the judges, I'm sure they just judge it like basically what they're seeing. As in, you know, these are guys that have made the height and weight, and we're just going to judge it like a bodybuilding show, and we're just going to use the same old criteria we've always used, and that's that. But maybe this could be an opportunity to reestablish what Classic was really introduced for.
True. All right, let's end on a high note. Andrew Jacked on the rise. Yes.
Yes.
This was a great year for Andrew Jacked.
I've got to message him afterwards. I've got to speak to him today.
Oh, okay. So he had been 7th place in his first Olympia, 2022. 5th place, 23.
8th.
Was he 8th? Okay, so 8th. 5th place, 23.
8th, 5th, 3rd.
Okay. So this was a heck of a year for Andrew. He moved up and he compared very, very well. 3rd place, he beat Samson, the defending Mr. Olympia, which, you know, you've been saying for a while that was a very likely scenario that one day Andrew might get past Samson, because they have a lot of similarities, but Andrew's a unique specimen. Nobody in pro bodybuilding looks quite like Andrew.
Yeah.
And he made the improvements this year in large part probably because he trained in Florida with Kamal El-Garni, and Kamal went out to Dubai and trained with him. Chris Aceto's been his coach this whole time, so it wasn't a different coaching situation, but he leveled up. His back was better, his hamstrings were better, the condition was better, and he was 3rd in the world behind two Mr. Olympia champions, Derek and Hadi.
Doesn't it go to show that you just can't be old school basic training? I mean, I've trained with Kamal twice. I've photographed him and filmed him several times. And it's almost like something out of the 80s, like watching him train. It's like, you know, with triceps, it's like line extension skull crushers, it's push down. It's very basic. It's the kind of things that work for Arnold, Lee Haney, Dorian, Ronnie. The thing is, what have those guys got in common? These were the guys that were the top of their game, that constantly kept improving, that didn't have any missing bits in their physique. Because, you know, it just shows that you can try and reinvent the wheel with training, and you can have these, because there's a lot of new equipment companies popping up all over the place, and these athletes are lining themselves with them, and you know they're sort of being involved in the R&D of these these new bits of equipment to hit this part of the back and that part of it. And they all have their use and they all have their value, and I think they're all amazing. But there's no escaping old school, basic, hard, heavy training. I mean, like with Kamal, sometimes he wasn't even training that heavy, but it was just like Jay Cutler, it'd be like 45-second rest. It was high pace, lots of reps, lots of sets, and like training for like 2 hours, you know, and just basic barbells, dumbbells, you know, basic machines, pulleys, nothing fancy, or maybe, you know, some of that stuff thrown in at the end. But look, I mean, I'll be honest. I think one of the talking points for me actually has been one of the things that like that really shocked me was how Andrew managed to put on muscle from the Olympia to the Romania, because at the end of the day, he's prepping for the Olympia, and obviously, forget the Arnold and stuff. He's prepping for the Olympia, and then all of a sudden he's having to extend his prep. He's not coming off prep for a month. And then jumping on stage. He's basically, the day after the Olympia, he knows he's doing Romania probably, and then he's getting ready and he's prepping for Romania. So, you're just expecting more of the same, maybe slightly tighter condition. But look at that. He actually put on muscle.
Yeah.
Was he 296 here, I believe?
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Oh, gee, he's 2 roast dinners away from being 300 pounds on stage. And the thing is, I know his waist is 29.
What?
Like like I said, I toured with him last year, and sometimes I'd just be sat next to him in the car, or we'd be out chilling, or and I'd be like, he sat there in a vest, and we're all training and stuff. And I'd look at him, I just think, you don't even look real, mate. He literally looks like a living, breathing superhero. Yeah. Which I really dig. But for me, I think he's starting to hit his stride now. I feel like everything is falling into place. Because let's not forget, he was, very, very new to the sport. Like literally 5 years ago, he was like Ronnie when Brian offered him the free membership. He looked like he looked like a top competitive bodybuilder. And this was a guy that was just going to the gym, running his business, and he wanted to be an action star in films. He was, like he said he can run up a 20-foot wall and stuff like that. And he can do all these crazy things, but these are things he's trained for, like going to the gym. It was like going to the gym was just part of that, for him wanting to break into films. So this was a guy that never set out, like Dorian, like pretty much the first day, he was like, I'm going to be a bodybuilder, I'm going to be a professional bodybuilder, I'm going to be Mr. Olympia. That is my goal. Whereas like the Andrews and the Ronnies kind of just fell into it, Larry Will says, oh, why don't you compete? Why don't you, and then next thing you know, they're cracking top 10 in their first Olympia and winning pro shows. And, I think this is also why Andrew is still so kind of humble and grounded, because it has happened so fast for him. He's not left his old life. He's still like Ronnie when he was a cop. He still kept in that grounded, hard work ethic kind of routine of his life. He's not moved to California. He's not moved here or moved there. He trains by himself most of the time. He's just in his own little bubble and just doing his thing. And I'm doing another tour with Andrew. And I love Andrew. And to be honest, to me, he's, especially with what's happened in recent months, I am so rooting for Andrew to win the Olympia next year. Because for me, he's what I want to see from Mr. Olympia in terms of his attitude, his just everything about him. I love the guy. I think he's absolutely amazing. And it's funny, because, like all this, I'm a hater and all this of so-and-so and that person. And if you say so-and-so should place ahead of that guy, that means you're a hater of the other guy. And you know how it works. Yes. It goes on and on. It goes on and on and on and on. I was doing the tour, and I said, hey, Andrew, I said, can you believe? I said, here we are on this tour. I said, it's going great. We're having a lot of fun. I said, and like 6 months ago, I said, I was literally referred to by a lot of people as an Andrew Jack hater.
That's right.
And me and Andrew just literally, it was just, we're having a coffee, and he just burst out laughing. And he just like rolled his eyes, like a lot of these guys do, because all these people get all het up online and stuff like that. It's, the people that are actually talking about, it doesn't even register stuff like this with them. Well, most of them it doesn't. Some it does, as you know. But like Andrew, he's just grounded. He's cool. He was born to do this. And I do think, Jay, funny enough, I was speaking to Jay Cutley the other week, and we were chatting about Andrew. And I said, Jay, you do know that. I said, I think Andrew's going to win everything next year. I think he's going to do what Derek did this year, and obviously Samson did, from the Arnold to winning the Arnold, then straight into the Olympia the next year. I says, I genuinely think, I think he's going to win everything next year, mate. And it's funny, then Jay did a jaywalking video about 5 days later. And he says, yeah, I think Andrew's going to win everything next year. I was like, ooh. But Jay agreed, So because I think what we saw, I think one of the main reasons is what we saw from the Olympia to Romania. That was it 6 or whatever he put on. He looked considerably bigger. I think if people in their minds are thinking, if he can do that in 6 weeks, what could he do another full prep and off season, going into the Arnold. Because imagine, I mean, say he's 296 at Romania. I mean, if he's 300, 302 at the Arnold in the Arnold UK, and here's a guy with a frame that could hold 310, 315, probably no problem even before the waistline even starts to show any signs of growth. But I'll put it out there. I think if everything goes right for him and he keeps his focus and he stays on with Kamal, and like I said, it's about finding the right people, in your corner. But even just speaking to Andrew, he seems more content, more happy, hungrier. I feel like he believes it now. I feel like he believes that he can do this. So 100%, I think he can win everything next year. What do you think?
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, a lot of people thought he could have won this Olympia, and we're looking at the Arnold lineup. Maybe that'll be another show, but it's going to be hard for him to beat Hadi. That's goes without saying. But I think Andrew has a good a chance of anybody. I'm not.
Hadi's going to be the one thing standing in his way. But look what happened to Samson when Samson got beat by Hadi at the Arnold Classic. He still ended up winning the Olympia that year. So I mean, mainly if I had to choose, obviously I would want Andrew to win the Olympia next year. I am not so bothered about the Arnold Classic, but if he beats Hadi at both, then which I think is possible, then I think more people are then going to be behind him in terms of believing that he can win the Olympia. But it's going to be interesting because, like I said, there's no dominant champs at the moment. But because all of them have their flaws and their good points. But with Andrew, he seems to be addressing those weak points now. I mean, and the thing is, once you've shown that you can address those weak points and improve them, then more people are sort of going to be looking to you as like the guy that, if that continues, is going to be he's the one to watch basically. I mean, the thing is, you don't know what Samson's going to do. Samson could pull. I don't know whether he can pull what Ronnie did in 2003, but kind of all he has to do is kind of bring what he brought to 24. I mean, there's a 24 Olympia winning Samson going to be enough to beat Andrew? Quite possibly, but we don't know what Andrew's going to bring. So, I mean, Samson kind of stepped back. He looked worse than he did at the Olympia and the Arnold. But, with a full year off, is he going to come back as good as he was when he won the Olympia, or is he going to be better? We don't know. Or is he going to be worse? Well, so there's a lot of things to weigh up here, mate. But I am rooting for Andrew. I mean, I'm not even going to make a secret of it.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone would believe you if you said you weren't rooting for Andrew. So,
yeah, no, I think the top. I do believe the top three is actually going to be Martin, Andrew, and Samson next year.
Yeah, that's very likely.
I do. I've just, for some reason, that's what I've got in my head, mate.
No Hadi. Hadi won't be top three?
No.
Wow.
Or Derek.
Wow.
I think it'll be Derek, Hadi, then I think Vito. I think Vito could move up into the top 6. I think he's that good.
We'll have to do a prediction show before the year is up.
Yeah, I'm kind of losing faith a little bit in Nick.
I'll tell you, I'm waiting to see. I know the Arnold's still 10 or 11 weeks away, but if he can bring a package that's similar to when he won the Arnold Classic and when he took third at Olympia, then I'm going to have all my faith restored in Nick. But
I'm not expecting him to go back in time. I don't think that's possible. I know bodybuilders over the years have tried to go back to they think it's about body weight and then they end up kind of slipping. But I think if he can address the midsection and also not worry so much about the scale and being the mutant and being as heavy and as big as freaky as possible, because he was 10 pounds bigger at the Olympia than he was. Remember we discussed it last week, which was better, Pittsburgh or the Olympia, and we kind of had a differing opinion. If he can just address those imbalances like Ramy did in 2020, like if you could bring the chest and the legs up and bring the midsection in, then to me that's a better version of what he brought in 2021 because it's bigger, it's freakier, the back shots are gone to another level. So if he can address that, because thing is, it's otherwise he's just going to be a bigger same version, like Ramy was all those years. So I just hope he's got it in him to try a different approach, because at the moment you know, you'd have thought if you said, oh, Nick Walker's going to be 10 pounds heavier than Pittsburgh and in better condition, which I think he was, you'd think that'd be a better physique, but it wasn't. It was worse. Right. So I think it gets to a point where past the point of diminishing returns or whatever, where they say when, you know, sometimes it's, well, basically bigger isn't always better when you reach a certain point of development. In fact, it can be the opposite. So I just hope he's got it in him to be able to formulate a plan and execute it and have the confidence to do so. Because if, like I said, I think the Arnold Classic is going to be make or break for Nick, because the fans are doing this a lot at the moment. That, you know, a lot of his loyal fans are turning on him, and you know, there's a lot of ifs and buts over Nick. So I think the Arnold Classic is very important for him.
Indeed. Well, we'll talk more about the Arnold in the week coming up, I'm sure. It's a big deal in our sport. Because we have nothing else, no more shows, no more open shows until early March 2026. Whew, it's gonna be a long winter. So,
how's your training going now with your shoulder?
Oh, very well, thank you. Very well. Yeah, I mean,
good.
The range of motion is just it's better than it's been in 15 years.
Fantastic. That's good to hear, mate. It's good because the thing is, that's what I like about you, mate. You've never ever lost your passion for training or, you know, your pride in being a bodybuilder and looking like a bodybuilder, feeling like a bodybuilder. I mean, I still train like 4 or 5 days a week, as hard as I ever have, but I'm not willing to eat 6-7 times a day anymore. Like I've got it down to 3 or 4 now because I'm just not willing. I'm just not willing to put the money because it's pointless for me. But everything else, I am basically still a bodybuilder at heart. I just, you know, but I like the fact that you've still. You know, I've just started some BPC as well in TV.
Oh boy, good stuff.
Yeah, I had some anyway. I just had some then. It was all pre-mixed, and I thought, well, if it's just sat there, I may as well use it. So I'm doing 500 microgram a day of each subcutaneous. So it's just more for prevention. And the thing is, my shoulder isn't 100%. Well, both of them aren't. So I was just thinking, well, it's good for gut health and good for tendons and stuff like that because I got a bit of a pull on my Achilles. I woke up with it. I didn't even do it in the gym or running or whatever on the treadmill. I just did it. I just woke up and it was sore. I don't know what. Maybe I've been out fighting as Batman or something in the night and I didn't know. But but no. So I just thought sometimes sometimes maybe the time to take these preventative or healing type peptides and things like that is when things are going well, not when, you know, prevention rather than cure. It's better to have a strong tendons and stronger joints than trying to fix them after they've been torn, you know, because then it's after the horse is bolted or whatever they said.
I never thought about it that way. Cool.
Yeah, no, it's smart, isn't it? Smart.
Well, we've had almost a power hour and a half so far, so I'm going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
We had a lot of we went over a lot of different subjects today, guys. I'm sure you have some opinions that agree with Giles and myself, and some I'm sure you think we're idiots or full of crap. Or let me know in the comments. Blast away. Good stuff, bad stuff, whatever it is. It's all good to have many comments. So fire away, guys. We're here for it. And it's December. I'm going to put this out tomorrow. So we still have one more show for the year. I think we'll do some kind of prediction show. That sound something you might be interested in, Giles?
We have to wear Santa hats.
Ooh, I think I have one somewhere. We'll talk about it. Anyway, so that's it, guys. Giles, thank you as always, taking the time and lending your expertise. Appreciate it very much. Appreciate you guys watching Power Hour with myself and the one and only Giles Tiger Thomas. And we will see you right here next time.